Excellent. Thank you. Welcome everybody that's here tonight. I'm so happy to be doing this podcast. I just love doing it. I love sharing information that can help you with your business. Tonight, if you like this, please, if everybody can put their phones on mute, not their phones, but their computers on mute as house rules. If you're live, if you're going to see this on the replay, you don't have to worry about that. But I'm so happy to be here tonight. If you like the podcast or like the content, please feel free to hit the like or subscribe button. You can find this podcast on YouTube. So all you have to put in is, in the search engine, the Notary Podcast. And you can listen to this again on YouTube. All right, without further ado, I will get into why we're all here. Let me just a second so you can see me. Hopefully you can see me all right. Can everybody hear me all right? If you can hear me, thumbs up, yes, in the comments. Yes, please feel free to say yes, or let me see. Just want to make sure everybody can see me. I'll pin me. Now, can you see me? And I will pin. Well, maybe I pinned the wrong person. Sorry. I'll unpin you. Okay. I'll pin our speaker. For those of you who don't know, this speaker is none other than the National Notary Association's 2024 Notary of the Year. Okay, somebody saying that they can hear me. This person is the Notary Association's 2024 Notary of the Year. And a lot of people ask, well, how can you be Notary of the Year? But there's a couple of categories, a couple of things you can do to be Notary of the Year. And I'll just go over that real quick with you. You have to have some type of community service, of course, be a notary, mentor other notaries, working to interact legislation for notaries in the area. And let me see if I can get rid of some of that feedback for you. Just a second. Somebody is not muted. Just a second. Who's not muted? Okay, I think I got rid of some of that feedback. Mute. All right. The notaries work to become a notary of the year. You work in your community, you mentor other notaries, you work with legislation, you do a lot of great things. And this person, I've known this person for several years now. I don't know, a couple of years, several years, I think more than 10. This person, she has a very similar background as I have. She worked in a law firm. She's a paralegal. And she just, I think when I was researching to do this interview with her, I learned her nickname is D Best. D Best. Imagine that. D Best. And she has earned that. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to Debbie Best-Sneidmill. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. And you correct me if I'm wrong, Debbie. 2024 Notary of the Year. Debbie, are you there? Can you hear me?
I am here. Hello, everyone. How's everyone tonight? And Daniel, you did pretty well with the last name. A little more practice, but close enough.
Yeah, I need more practice.
To be here tonight.
Okay. Oh, there you are.
I think we go back, Daniel. Maybe the first notary conference that I attended, or maybe Maryland.
I think it was Maryland, 2011.
Okay.
Maybe.
Before I attended conference. Okay.
Yes. Yes. Now, the way this would go, everyone, I'm going to ask her some questions. I'm sure you're going to have some questions. You can definitely add some questions in the comments. But she has been gracious enough to say, hey, please feel free to ask questions at the end. We'll have you raise your hand or ask questions in the comments. We'll get all your questions answered. And I'm going to go to the very first question, just to go ahead and start chopping this up, Debbie. And I'll keep trying to really see somebody's not muted. See if I can find who that is. Okay, got it. All right. Debbie, first question I want to ask you that a lot of people has asked when they heard that you were coming on to do this podcast. First, tell us about your journey to becoming a notary public And what drew you to this profession?
Well, it was 40 years ago. I was working in a small law firm in DC, and one of the attorneys was a former congressman. And so a lot of his practice still entailed a lot of lobbying on Capitol Hill. And so it is required that he report quarterly his activity on the Hill. And
Okay.
those lobby reports had to be notarized. So that necessity to have a notary in the office is really what led me to become a notary. Because the quarterly reports, we probably did on average about 20 to 30 reports every quarter.
And
So that's where it started.
and just to give everybody some context, where are you located?
Oh, sorry. I actually reside in Maryland, but I've always worked in a DC office at a law firm.
Okay. Okay. Very good. Very good. And as a National Notary of the Year, 2024, what responsibilities does that honor entail, and how does that impact your career?
Well, it's my first time. Daniel, maybe you can tell me what the responsibilities are. I don't think I really know. Um, I guess it's something I can always drop, you know, to sort of indicate maybe I am the best uh, to be chosen Notary of the Year, but I'm not sure about the responsibilities just yet.
Uh, Part of it is just coming on podcasts like this and talking about yourself. And I know you're so modest. It's just I've known that about you for a long time. You're so modest about your skill set and what you've done, and yeah, so yeah, part of that is coming on like podcasts, and because people want to know, what got you to this point. Were you born and raised in the Maryland area, or
Native born Washingtonian, and I guess since about probably age 8, I've always lived in Maryland.
oh, very good.
Well, I told you my age now, but I've always lived in Maryland.
Okay, very, very. Did you say you became a notary 40 years ago? Did I hear that right?
Exactly 40 years ago, last March,
Wow.
1984.
Wow. Interesting. Wow. So you've seen a lot of changes then in the notary profession.
Well, to already talk about having notarizations done anywhere in the world, via remote online organizations, yeah, that's a long ways from being in person to what can be done now.
Yeah. But what are some of the common misconceptions people have about the role of a notary, and how do you work to dispel them?
I think a lot of times, yeah, people don't really understand. When I see sometimes with general notary work, I have one person bring in a document that's been signed by someone else and wants to get it notarized. So they really don't understand that that person is really the individual I need to see. And then some people just think, you just sign it. What are we looking at? We're looking at the document for completeness. They just, I guess, underestimate what we really are trying to do. Even with the ID verification, that's really our role, is to identify who's in. And so oftentimes I know I get folks trying to bring documents signed by some other party who isn't present. And then I think too, when it comes to payments, sometimes I know here in Maryland, we're able to charge $8 per notarized signature. And I've had people ask, why so much? So I don't know if they just think should only cost $1 or $2, but service.
Okay. Wow. Wow. So they push back on $8 for notarization. Wow.
Oh, yes. And then, of course, if you're adding travel fee, then it is a little more than that. But yeah, I do get pushback sometimes.
Okay.
In some cases, when I do, I will ask, if the payment is a problem, because sometimes I will just say, okay, well, I'll do it for less. It just depends on the situation.
Okay. Very, and 40 years a commission notary, and you're a dual commission, right? In DC and Maryland.
So I've been commissioned in DC for the 40 years, and then 33 years in Maryland.
Oh, wow. So being a notary for that time frame, in what ways do you believe that technology, because right now we're seeing a lot of new technology, how do you believe technology has influenced the field of notarization, and what do you see as the future of notarial practices in the digital age now?
Well, of course, when I started as a notary, you had to get a book to find out what the duties and responsibilities were. And there were not a lot of books available. Back when I first purchased a book, I believe it was called Anderson's Manual for Notaries Public. And it wasn't something I really read. It just kind of looked boring. I did join a Notary Association, the American Society for Notaries. I'm not sure if they're still in existence today.
Yeah.
They are. So I joined them, and that was sort of how I got my information, was through a newsletter, which they would mail to your home. So now, you can go clubhouses, meetups. There are all just so many ways to learn about the field of notary. So things are, have really proliferated, that there's just a lot of information out there. And I find even when I go to signings, a lot of times people will say, well, they're looking into becoming a notary. It just seems like it's become popular.
Yeah, I agree with that. Could you share with us a particular memorable or challenging experience you've had as a notary and how you navigated through it?
Well, I think the memorable ones often are the ones I've done at hospitals, bedside, especially with those patients who were at end of life. I think even over the past year, I can probably recall the faces of those people that, I met. So those can be difficult situations, but often very needed. And of course, there are always those signings that I might do when you go to someone's home, and I almost feel like I don't want to get out of the car because the homes look spooky, and you can only imagine once you get inside what it's going to look like. But in either case, you go in, you're a professional, you do what you have to do. And then in some cases, maybe you do have to say no. But I always try to explain to the signer the reason, I do what I do. So when I first go in and I'm asking for identification, I explain to the signer that, in Maryland, notaries have to maintain a journal, and I have to, have valid identification. So I always try to at least give information why I'm doing what I'm doing. And hopefully it educates the signer.
Yeah. What advice would you give to someone considering a career as a notary public? Because, like you said, this is becoming very popular. Being a notary public is becoming very popular. I've just seen someone put in, "Hey, be a notary and make $1,000 per day or $1,000 per week." So, what advice would you give someone who's just coming into this career?
If they have a job already, I would say don't quit your day job. This is something that you might want to start and do on the side until you have really established yourself. And definitely you have to have your skill set, um, down pat. Um, I think it's doable for a lot of, we know a lot of notaries that have made this a career, so it is doable, but you really have to have a real entrepreneurial spirit to make it work and for it to, have longevity.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I say think twice, maybe think 3 times before you do it.
Yes. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. How do you stay up to date on the changes of the laws and regulations? Because you're a dual commission in Washington and Maryland. How do you stay up to date on the laws and the regulations for your notarial practice?
The Maryland Secretary of State has what they call town hall sessions, where they actually talk about, the notary law requirements, policy, those kinds of things. And those happen, maybe about 6 times a year. That's something they started just in the last few years. That's a wealth of information. And then also other notaries. If the notary fee were to go up, let's say to $40, we would all know about it almost immediately because notaries would be talking about it.
Yes.
Oftentimes I learned from my fellow notaries who are sort of my network of notaries. Sometimes they read something and they'll share, in our group. So, and then working closely with the DC Office of Notary Commissions and Authentications, I'm pretty much always aware when things are changing because I hear from the director about what's happening in the DC, excuse me, in the DC side. And then, of course, the NNA,
Yeah.
those letters are helpful too.
How important is ongoing education? Because I see a lot of people saying, I'm here to educate you. Not to say that that's wrong, but how important is education to you as a professional?
Well, even with 40 years experience, I don't think I know it all. I know for me, I'm still learning. There's always the new technology, there's always something new out there. So you always want to be learning. You never get too old, I don't think, to learn. Was there another part to that question that I didn't answer?
Yeah, I like the answer you gave because I go to meetups all over the country, and sometimes I run into people that have half the experience that you have, maybe 10 years as a commissioned notary, 20 years as a commissioned notary, and they take it like I've already known everything, I already seen everything. And their next question to me is, I don't have any business. How can you help me get business? I'm like, well, give me your business plan. What do you think about education? I said, I don't need any more education. So I just was warning, you're a notary of the year, 40 years commissioned notary, dual notary in 2 states, and you're still saying education is so important. That's a very
Yeah.
powerful statement. I don't think people have gotten that, especially people who are trying this business and been in the business for a while. As a leader in the field, what initiatives or changes would you like to see implemented to improve the notarial process or regulations? What would you like to see happen in the notary field in the future?
Well, it would be nice, excuse me. I think it would be nice if we all across 50 states and US territories all did the same thing as notaries, because we all have to follow our own state guidelines. And a lot of times things do get confusing, especially if we were sitting in a Zoom session and someone speaking from California about a situation that may not apply to me in Maryland. So I thought, it might be nice if we absolutely all had one, you know, policy procedure across the whole United States. Whether, we all have to have a journal. We all maybe have our commissions for the same period of time.
Mhm.
Maybe we're all charging the same fee. I mean, that's my thinking. Maybe it would or would not work, but it seemed like life would be simpler.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can understand that. I think we have some notaries like you and I. They may be still working at a law firm. In your law firm, you became known as the notary expert in your law firm. What advice would you give a paralegal in a family law office or real estate office, what advice would you give that notary that's working in an office to help promote more education in their law office for notarial standards?
I think you have to start with HR or whoever has an ear to hear why it's important to have the education first of all, in the law firm. I attended a notary conference, well, my first one, and that's when I really saw how all these notaries from across the country could sit in one room, and there was just that fundamental thing we all do about identifying individuals, giving the oath or the acknowledgement. And so for me, that was like common ground that all the notaries had. And I knew in my own office, notaries were doing their own thing. And I thought it was important that training be implemented. And when I spoke to the manager of training and development for the support team, she was right on board. And I spoke with her shortly after coming back from the conference. And we had never had anything like that done in our law firm before. And she was, she had an ear to hear me. She said, "That's awesome. We need to do that." And then I had read in an article years ago about, it was written by someone at the NNA, how an employer could be on the line for, let's say, something going awry by the notary. And so the training for employers to provide to their notaries, even if you're not getting it, say, from the Secretary of State, the firm that would implement some sort of training could help, maybe ward off a lawsuit. And actually in our law firm, we had a case where someone asked me if a particular notary had been a part of our training session, because it was a voluntary program, the training that we did. You weren't required to do it. We figured people would sign up because we were providing lunch. We did it over lunchtime. But shortly after that, there was a question about a notary that had executed a document and whether that notary actually had attended the training. I never got the end story to that, but the training in-house really did benefit a lot of our in-house notaries.
Okay. Very good. Can you discuss any specific instances where your role as a notary has had significant impact on an individual or a community?
Well, I could go back to the hospital beds, but I would say across the community would be in the District of Columbia, working with the director over the notaries. And a lot of that work entailed editing, reviewing, just sort of updating the handbook and having it, to be easily understood, comprehended. Because I thought when I raised some issues about the handbook, I think that's when, she and I began working, Judy Gold and I began working together. She would do edits and then she would ask me to give my opinions or my markups, my, revisions to it. So I think overall it helped those in the DC area who would, be looking at the handbook to better understand it.
And just so our listeners understand who Julie Gold is the director of the Office of Notary Commissions and Authentications in Washington, D.C. How did you develop that relationship with someone in an office like that?
Well, it was one of those Maryland Notary Republic days, hosted by Elaine Wright Harris. Judy Gold was to be our guest speaker in 2016. And I just decided I would just call to Judy just to see if she needed anything, if she knew how to get there. And really, from that point on, we've always been in communications. We've done dinners together. So, I guess we could say it's become a friendship, really. So,
So, so what I'm hearing, what you're saying, because I hear so many notaries that says they don't like the laws, they don't like how the laws affect them doing their job. What you did, which was, I think, simply brilliant. You called and said, "Hey, can I add assistance? Do you need help getting there?" To a person that's the director of the Office of Notary Commissions and Authentication in Washington, D.C., you just offered assistance. And
yeah,
that's how you built that relationship.
absolutely. And, she had an ear to hear too. Maybe not everyone would have been open, but she has always felt like, she wanted my thoughts. I want you to mark it up. I want you to really tell me what you think. And, of course, when they invite you to say what you think, you say it. And, there were times I suggested things. I mean, they weren't always accepted. She had a better handle on the law. So, there were times when she was like, nope, we can't do that because it's not in the law.
Hmm. But it's always good to have that relationship and build that relationship because that gives you a better understanding of how legislators think about our careers, our notary public, our work in the community.
That's right. That's right.
And I want to ask you about something else really quick because I know this about you, and I don't think a lot of people know this about you. You actually at one time was volunteering as a reading buddy to third graders in the DC public school system. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, the law firm that I've worked at for, been a notary 40 years, working at the same law firm that long. Um, always had the law firm has wanted to give back to the community. And one of the initiatives it took on was this Good Read program. Because many of the initiatives you had to have a law degree. But this one was, you're going to go to a DC public school once a month and, meet with third grade students, buddy up with them. And I signed up. My own children read a lot of books when they were young, and I knew a lot of those books myself. So, and enjoyed a lot of those books. So, I just said, oh, I'm in. And from the first time I did it, I stayed with the program for 10 years. The attorneys that spearheaded the program, I'm sure was happy to always say they could count on me because, from month to month, we really didn't know how many volunteers we were going to have going to the public school. And mainly they were attorneys. So I did it for, like I said, that period of time and loved it. Due to COVID, the program, of course, was put on pause. And then, of course, I left the law firm shortly thereafter. But even to this day, I keep children's books in my car. In fact, Daniel, I had a 6 o'clock signing tonight. You might have been a little nervous whether I was going to be back in time. But it turned out there was a 6-year-old at the signing and I gave him a book. And that's what I do. I just keep books in my trunk. And so whenever there's a child, a certain age, toddler to maybe about age 9, I have books, just free books that I give out to them. But inside the book covers, it says it's a gift from the best signature and seal, your mobile notary, and my phone.
Wow. That's so powerful because you're having an impact not only with the signing and the notarization transaction, you have an impact on their family too. Because I thought I saw a quote in here about you wanting kids to be able to read at a certain grade level.
Right. So the third grade was targeted because there's been a study or studies done that by third grade, if a child is struggling, with reading, that often, they don't meet their potential, and oftentimes will struggle throughout their school years. And then, of course, that can impact when they
Mhm.
leave school in their adult years. So they say, they have to know by fourth grade to read because now they're reading to learn. So they're doing more reading on their own to learn. So it's important. Third grade, they're great readers. And I tell you, by third grade, I saw a lot of good readers, but I saw a lot of them that really, really struggled. Even though our law firm was sponsoring this program, we were taking gifts to the school every month we would go if they had read so many books.
Oh,
They were getting rewarded. And then at the very end of the school year, they would get a field trip to our law firm, and our firm would actually host them for the whole day with pizza lunch, all the way to a mock trial where we would have our attorneys dress up like in costumes, and it was really entertaining. But the firm just was, very pro that we give back to our community.
very good. Which brings me to my last question. What do you find most rewarding about being a notary public, and what motivates you to continue your work in this profession?
I love meeting people. Uh, and you meet so many different types of people, maybe some that you hope never to meet again, but a lot of really interesting ones. And for me, being semi-retired now, I just enjoy being able to get out of the house and sort of just travel, even though it may be locally. I have seen communities, I didn't even know existed, maybe because I was on the highway going back and forth to work. But now doing general notary work, a lot of mobile notary work, I, turn down these little side streets and it's like, oh, I didn't even know this was here. So I love traveling anyway, but if it gets me out of the house, that's great for me. That's what I like.
Mm, very good. And so your business, your notary business consists of both notary signing agent or being a typic and general notary work.
Rework. Mm-hmm. Now I've done a few apostilles, not many, but
Okay.
that as well.
Very, very good. All right, well, we'll open it up to some questions. If anybody has any questions, you can put it in chat, or you can raise your hand, or you can unmute yourself and ask a question of D Best, as she's known online. Any questions out there for D Best? 40-year commissioned notary public, dual commission, Washington, D.C., Maryland. Any questions out there? This is your opportunity, because I know she's gonna, like I said, she's gonna be at in Orlando at the National Notary Association conference, and she's gonna probably be bombarded by notaries asking questions. So hey, this is a great intimate setting. So if you have a question out there you want to ask, please feel free to ask. Let me see. I don't see anything in the chat. Let's see. I don't see any hands. I think then here's one from Karen. How do you choose the right Ron to work with being new? I'm assuming Karen is new. Also, should I work on becoming a signing agent as well? I have both traditional and online. How would you answer that, D Best?
You repeat Karen's question?
Her question here is basically a two-part question. How do she chooses the right Ron, I guess, platform to work with, because she's new, and also should she work on becoming a signing agent as well?
Karen, okay, hi Karen, I can see you. So you're new, right? Is what Daniel said. Are you, what's new? How long?
A month, a month, like real new. I got my online, everything I need for online and traditional. And now what? Now what do I do?
And you feel confident that you know your basic notary, procedures.
The basics, yes. Yeah, I did take some courses. And then I'm also seeing I recently got laid off. So this is a whole new world for me, not being in the corporate world. So yes, this is more a side gig, but if I can make a career out of it, fabulous, even better. So I'm not sure the best way to market myself and to get the business. Like, how did you guys get started with having some business, basically? And is Ron the right way to go? Should I be working with, somebody that's established that I can get customers from them and also bring if I have my own?
And let me ask one more question. How long or how many notarizations have you done? You said you've been a notary for a month. Are you saying
Zero.
zero?
None.
Zero.
Zero. I'm gonna advertise in my neighborhood. We have like a neighborhood Facebook online. I'm getting ready to do. I can only do traditional right now because I don't know how to do online. Like, I'm not set up for that. I have everything in my computer ready for it, but how do I do online? Like, I think I have to work with somebody that's already established, if you know what I mean.
There are a lot of vendors out there that have platforms for, doing RONs.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm really looking at your traditional, focusing really on that initially.
Okay.
And so a lot of notaries have a Google business page.
Okay.
That way you would get general notary work.
Okay.
What state are you in?
In Texas.
Texas. So
Yeah.
you would be able to sign up for, oh, are you a member of the NNA, National Notary
Yes.
Association?
Yes.
And you've done their training for signing agents?
No, I was going to ask you if you think that's worth me, because I know you have to do a course, and so more money out of pocket, but I was wondering if that's worth it to go ahead and do that.
I think so.
Okay.
Daniel, what do you agree with that? The
Yeah,
NNA?
I totally agree with that. And
Okay.
Karen, I'm glad that you're on here because that's great. Like Deb has a lot of experience being a notary. Yeah, just I would say what you said just now, starting out going to. I always tell people here in Indiana, uh, I've been a full-time notary for
Mhm.
20 years, a little over
Wow.
20 years, and I always tell them money going out should be money coming in.
Right.
So that's how I view it. So yeah,
Okay.
go out to let people know that you're a notary. Go. I do a lot of general notary work myself at hospitals, nursing homes, assisted living, rehabilitation centers.
Okay.
I do a lot of that. So talk to the social worker, talk to the receptionist, let them
Okay.
know that you are available in that capacity. And make sure you know what, like Deb said, make sure you know what laws are in your state
Yes. Yes.
for doing real estate and anything like that.
Okay.
Just stay within those guidelines. But yes, I started off doing all notary signing agent working for real estate agents or title companies. And then I
Okay.
transitioned into general notary work. So the work is out there.
Okay. This is great. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Karen. All the best to you.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Yeah. Keep us posted on how you do.
I will for
Yes.
sure. And did
Yes.
you guys get business cards? Should I get and then give those to like the nursing homes and
What do you think, Deb?
I think so. Doesn't
okay.
have at least something with them.
Yeah. Okay. I will do that. Thanks, y'all. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, Karen, for that question. Any other questions for Deb? You can ask her any questions whatsoever. Not too personal, just notary questions. Any other questions? I'm just looking for hands. That's a really good question, Karen, from Texas. I don't see any other, maybe somebody's typing in chat. I'll give it a few more seconds. Because like I
I
said,
have a quick question. I came on a little late, so I don't know if I missed it.
yes.
What would you say is the most challenging part of being a notary for you?
And that question comes from the west side of Indianapolis, Lucretia Newbill.
Well, thank you for asking the question. I'm still pondering what is the most challenging. Oh my goodness. Well, and my challenge is really getting up in the mornings and really looking at the list and doing some things. See, like I add to my list of to-dos rather than cross things off. To do with a lot of training that I want to take on. I still take training sessions from various vendors. Maybe I won't call out any names, but I'm still taking training, and I have training that I have signed up and even paid for and yet still haven't started. So really mine is a personal challenge. It's really getting, I guess, because when you're semi-retired, you don't really have to. You can get around to it when you want. So yeah, I guess my challenge is really just me.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for that question, Lucretia. Hopefully I'm not pronouncing that right. She always says I'm mispronouncing her name. Oh, did I? Perfect. Okay, excellent. Excellent. Glad to hear that. Any other questions?
Yeah, and thanks for asking your question. Yeah.
I think we're still looking around. Don't see any other questions or yeah. Okay, I'm gonna give it just 1 or 2 more seconds, see if anybody's typing anything in the chat. I really like a lot of things you said, Deb, while people are typing in chat. I really like a lot of things you said about how you approached the official at the Washington, D.C. office, the notary official, just asking if she needed assistance to build that relationship. I really like what you do in the community. A lot of people become a notary, and a lot of I see a lot of advertising, make money, make money, make money, make money. But with you, I've always been impressed by your patience. And when you meet, if you ever get a chance to meet Deb, you'll see how patient and just that great energy she has around her. She's somebody you want to always be around and learn from. So if you get a chance to meet with her or see her in Orlando or Maryland, and I think she might even be showing up at the Philly Social because she was there last year. I saw Deb at the Philly Social last year. It would. What was that?
I will be there this year. I
Yes.
will be there this year as well at the Philly.
Yeah, these events, it just these. Let me ask you a question. How important is it? Because I just did a podcast on this. How important is it to go to conventions and notary meetups, Deb?
I like traveling. So for me, it gets there I haven't been before or attended something I haven't attended previously. In fact, I'm already thinking of doing another conference in a state I've never visited. So that's sort of the pull. But there is benefit. you haven't heard everything there is out there. And normally at these conferences, you learn something new. At least that's the hope. And I find I just find it worth the money to go if I'm able to. Now I understand that maybe the money is not always available, but then, you know, to do the conferences, you know, the national level type conferences, but often with notaries, there are the local meetups and, you know, networking events. And so wherever your dollars can get you, I think there's benefit in those, you know, gatherings. So, you know, it'd be nice if I get to see everyone at conference in Orlando, but, you know, if not, there may be another opportunity on some local level.
Very, very good. Yes. So once again, I'm going to just to wrap this up. You can see the best in Orlando. She'll be in Orlando. If you're in the Florida area, she'll be there May 13th through the 15th. She'll definitely be at the gala. You don't want to miss that gala to see us honor our 2024 Notary of the Year. She'll be in Maryland. I think that Maryland Notary Day right now is tentative at November the 9th. And she will be at the Philly Social, which will be at the Notary Hotel this year, which is a fun place to be at. So I don't think we have any other questions. I'm gonna just take one quick look and see if anybody has their hands up. No other questions. Our next podcast will be, I think it's 2 weeks from now. We're gonna have another very special guest. So if you like this podcast, make sure if you're on looking at this on the replay, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. We look forward to seeing you here. We're doing this for you guys and you ladies. Looking forward to having you again. Thank you again to our very special guest, Debbie D. Best. Let me make sure I pronounce your name again. Sneidmill. Thank you again for taking the time
We'll
out.
work on.
Yes, I'm going to work on that, and I'll have it right by the NNA conference. We'll see everybody soon. Thanks again, Deb, and
Right.
make sure you hit like and subscribe.
Just thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. It was my honor to have you here. Thank you so much. Talk to everybody real soon. Thanks.
Hi, everybody.
All right. Bye-bye.